Hello, I'm Glen, Guyton, your diversity and inclusion keynote speaker for 2020. Yes, that's right. I said for 2020. Are you planning out your lineup for what you're going to do, not in 2019, but in 2020? Well, I am your guy. You know, this is what bothers me. I'm going to go on a little rant today for this video, but this is really what bothers me. This is what burns me up, is that people seek out and say, hey, I want a diversity and inclusion speaker. And you know what they do? Oh, they go out and get the black guy. Oh, they go out and get the Asian guy. Oh, they go get out the Latina woman. You know, that's what they do. But are those people actually qualified to talk about diversity and inclusion? I don't know. You really have to be careful. Don't just get someone, and dare I say, a token person, because they are a person of color, to be your diversity inclusion keynote speaker, or because it's Martin Luther King holiday weekend, we're going to go find a black speaker to talk about diversity and inclusion, and that person may or may not be qualified. I don't want you to mess things up. I want you to get a good diversity and inclusion keynote speaker. You're paying these people a good deal of money, and you want to make sure that you are effective in your diversity and inclusion goals. Hey, before I forget, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Go check out some of the other videos that we've done in the past, and hopefully they will be helpful to you as you seek to practice diversity, inclusion, and equity in your workplace. I want to be your cultural competency navigator to help you engage cultural and generational differences in a workplace in a manner so that you can increase your productivity and your collaboration in your workplace. And so you can go to my website, glenguyton.com. You can see some of the programs that I offer. Just did one really good keynote called Come As You Are. I think you can see the snippet on the website, so check that out. But you want a diversity and inclusion speaker that is knowledgeable. So that's number one. You want someone that's knowledgeable, and you want someone that is engaging, because it's a difficult subject. It's a challenging subject when we start talking about diversity and inclusion. So you want people that understand what diversity and inclusion are all about, and make sure they cover both, right? Diversity, and they cover inclusion. And then one step further is cultural competency. And so that's how we bring all those things together and put together a program that enhances the diversity and inclusion of the workplace. But we want to do it from a culturally competent standpoint. And so I have a couple of good, this is my iPad, but you can go to the website, check out my one sheet, download that. Come As You Are, Diversity, Inclusion, and Nirvana is one of my favorite programs that I do. Navigating the generations. And so as we think about diversity and inclusion, it's not just about race and ethnicity, but it's also about the generations in the workplace. How do we manage all of these different people that are coming in the workplace? I've seen so many boomers that are just frustrated with the millennials. But you know what? Hey, boomers, when you were the age of the millennials, I'm sure the older generation, the traditionalists and others, the greatest generation, thought you were a little bit off too. So millennials, there's nothing wrong with millennials. Millennials are great. It's just a different day and age. We have to be a little bit more transparent when we start communicating with our workers. We have to earn the respect. We can't just demand it like we did. When I was growing up, Gen X, latchkey kid, when I was growing up, my mom would say, hey, do something. And if I said why, it would be because I said so, right? But my kids, nah, they don't go for that. They want to know why, how come, how much time. And so it's just a different era, a different way of communicating. And so we need to understand that. And a good diversity and inclusion keynote speaker will talk about that. Also, getting the right people in the room. Talent acquisition is very important. Talent acquisition, talent retention are some of the things that we have to pay attention to if we are talking about managing diversity and inclusion in the workplace. So make sure you get the right people, the right person. And so take your time, do your research, get on Google if you are looking at finding a good diversity and inclusion. I'm going to hand it off to my assistant now. If you are looking for a good diversity and inclusion speaker, make sure you do your research. There are some good people out there doing some good things, but make sure they have a good understanding of diversity. Make sure they know the difference between anti-racism training and diversity and inclusion. Make sure they understand intersectionality. That's another big one. And make sure you ask them what their perspective is on intersectionality. Kimberly Crenshaw, an African-American woman, coined that term several years ago, very much as a response to how the feminist movement interacted with the women's movement. So African-American women were actually excluded from the feminist movement. And so that intersectionality came into play. And Kimberly Crenshaw, you can read about her. She did some wonderful work on that. Maybe we can include the link in the description down below. So I'll ask my wonderful editor, assistant, fantastic computer genius person to put that link down there about Kimberly Crenshaw and intersectionality. So we'll put that down there so you can research on that. But do your research. Make sure before you hire a diversity and inclusion keynote speaker, they know what they are talking about. See what they're writing online. See what videos they have. Like, do they have great videos like this guy Glen is telling me about these things? Check them out. Do the research. One of the things that I'm happy to offer is the IDI, which is the Intercultural Development Inventory. So I can actually come into your workplace and help you evaluate how well you manage differences. That's part of this work, is understanding how well you manage differences. And so part of this work in cultural competency is saying, can I only see the world like this way, like through my eyes? Is that the only way that I can engage the world? I only can see it from my perspective, or can I shift? So can I come over to this other side and see what people are doing, see what people need, and understand the depth of their culture? And I've said it before, and I'll say it probably 100 more times in these videos. Culture is the way that we do things around here. And so as you think about culture, most of us just see like the surface level stuff, like the food. We think Cinco de Mayo is a cultural experience, where it really isn't. It's just, just one small snippet of one piece of history that we misunderstand. And we think, oh, we're being culturally relevant because I'm wearing a sombrero or I'm drinking some tequila on Cinco de Mayo. Nope, you're actually not doing it right. That's you're just being an American, right? And so culture involves our rituals. So like, how do we celebrate birth? How do we take care of people that die? How do we celebrate marriage? What are those customs that are kind of unseen and hidden? Those are some things that I hope the speakers you're bringing in are talking about. They have that wonderful iceberg analogy where, most of us just see the tip of the iceberg, but the heart of culture really is below that. What lies below the surface, the things that we can't see are often the important things, the things with weight, with substance. So think about it. If you are looking at diversity and inclusion training in your workplace, if you're trying to bring in a speaker or someone to help you with this work, make sure you've done your research. Make sure you're vetting the people properly. I have some tools. If you go to my website, again, glenguyton.com, I have some tools that you can use there. Check out some of my blogs, and I'll give you some tips on selecting the right speaker or trainer for your organization. Hey, it doesn't have to be me. I'm not always a fit for people. Some people like different things. Some people like people a little bit more serious. I like to have fun when I talk about diversity and inclusion. I tell people that, hey, I've been Black a long time, so I've been thinking about this at least for a long time. And not saying that because I am an African American that I have all the answers. No, I don't. I actually had to do some studying. I had to put in the work and put in the time to learn more about this. And I'm still learning because by no means do I have all the answer when it comes to culture. There are some things that I'm still learning, people that I need to talk to and interact with to broaden my worldview. And so I learn each and every day. I hope you are learning each and every day. Don't forget to come back to this channel, Check me out. Subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. And hey, come back next time. I look forward to talking to you. Have a good day.